I want to talk a little bit more about your story. I mean, we didn't really get into much about it, but speaking of, people getting into things later on in life, not having, the time to really, like the advantage that way. But you got into what you're doing now, you're announcing and everything in your 30s.
Yeah, it's strange. Michael started around 37, 38, and I started around 37, 38.
Yeah, okay, so that's a crazy story. You are the announcer, and you're known for the voice of the UFC. Now, Let's Get Ready to Rumble is your brother,
Yes.
Michael Buffer.
Right.
And he is the
Legendary,
voice
greatest
of
announcer of all time.
boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Is even like Super Bowls and like every major event, Let's Get Ready to Rumble. So it's the two of you. But you met each other at 30 years old. You didn't even know of each other out there. You didn't even know that he existed.
Nope.
What? Really?
I had no idea.
You watched The Whole Impulsive? You didn't know this about him?
Yeah, I missed that
It's
part.
an insane story. I tell people this story. Before I even met you, Bruce, I've been telling people this story, and nobody believes it. They're like, that's impossible. That's got to be made up. Wait, his brother does boxing, he does UFC, and they didn't know of each other until their 30s?
Wait, and so this is the same. Y'all have the same father than when you're telling about in the story.
We have the
from
same
earlier?
father. Michael is 77 now.
Mm-hmm.
I just turned 66 on Sunday. And basically, we met each other when we were around 28 years old. I was 28, he was about 43. I was 30, and he was about 43, give or take a year. My memory forgets sometimes. But what happened is I always watched boxing with my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I was watching boxing straight out of the womb. It was a Tuesday night, Saturday night, Sunday, steak and baked potato and boxing on TV. Right?
Sounds great.
You guys have the same father.
Same.
It's the same.
We have Michael and I have the same father. My brother I grew up with is named Brian, my full brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, what happened is this debonair, great-looking James Bond man walks out, dressed to the nines, suddenly becoming more famous than the boxers, saying, "Let's get ready to rumble," the phrase that started really taking off. And they chyron on the screen, Michael Buffer. And remember, I own telemarketing companies. So I saw every phone book there is looking for my last name, never saw it because we didn't have the internet back then. And then when they put it on the screen, I got a weird feeling in my stomach. Like, who is this guy, right? So long story cut short, after a period of 6 months, calling Don King's office, Bob Aaron's office, finding little tidbits here and there, people start coming up to me saying, "Hey, is that your brother, the guy that goes, 'Let's get ready to rumble'?" I go, "No, my brother's Brian," right? So then I'm driving up north with my dad one day, and I basically, he knew this was happening, and we talked a little bit before, and I said, "Dad, it's just getting crazy. Everybody's asking me about this guy. Do you have any idea who he is?" "I think that's your brother," right?
No way.
"No way, Dad, what are you talking about?" "Son, I never told you. I was married during World War II briefly. I went overseas to do my thing. Came back 9 months later. A son was born.
Mm-hmm.
I last saw him when he was near 2.5. It's just one of those stories. Don't think bad about my dad. It's just one of the things that occurred. Michael was raised by foster parents under the name of Huber, right? His entire life, he had a beautiful Leave It to Beaver lifestyle with his foster parents or step-parents. And when he was not formally adopted, when he went in the Army at 20 during the Vietnam War, they said on your birth certificate says you're Michael Buffer, not Michael Huber. You're Michael Buffer, right?
Yeah.
So he went from Michael Buffer from that point forward. Had that not happened, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now because when I met Michael, finally, my dad got in contact with him. They had lunch together. It turned out to be his son. And then 2 weeks later, we met for dinner. We all got along famously. And over the next
That'd be a nerve-wracking experience.
it was crazy because here I am a fan, and then walks in somebody that's my blood,
Yeah.
And I can't begin to tell you the experience and what it felt like, but it was a great experience. And then I started traveling and doing my businesses, going to New York, doing what I had to do. But I'd stop off in Vegas or go to Vegas. I'd meet him for fights. We'd party together. We'd have fun together, getting closer. He lived in Los Angeles, and it was in 1992, February 16th. 1992, if I'm not mistaken. Riddick Bowe fought Evander Holyfield for the very first time at Thomas and Mack. And I went and watched that fight, and I watched how everybody reacted to him for the umpteenth time saying the Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
And an epiphany light bulb went off in my head, and I went back to my room instead of going to gamble and party with girls and do what we all like to do in Vegas. And I sat in my room, and I couldn't stop. I just kept writing like a robot, like 3 pages of notes, put them in the NBA, football fields, toys, video games,
Just money-making
movies,
ideas.
just all the stuff coming out. And I met with him shortly after, and basically, long story cut short again, I said, "Michael, I want to make you rich," in so many words, "I want to make you richer and more famous than you ever dreamed, hopefully myself in the process. I was telling you to trademark this phrase. You did trademark it, but I did my research. It needs more trademarking to be solid. I need to become your manager and your partner. So when I make a video game or a toy, we're partners. Whatever. As a manager, I want to direct your career. I want to build this, and I want to do this, 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 and this. And he's like, how are you going to do all that? I go, I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm going to figure it out. If I'm going to sell what I have here, I was burned out on what I was doing. I did not like what I was doing. And I was very passionate about this idea. And I'm a man of passion, like I am when I announce in the UFC. I mean, I do that for 27 plus years because I'm passionate about it. Whether it's the bourbon or whatever, I do what I'm passionate about.
It's very good, by the way. Sorry, just want to say that.
You like it?
I love it.
Yeah? You want to give it a review? A little
Do you want to give it a rating?
Smoky. I don't know.
Ooh,
if
nice.
It's a good smoky. I don't know how to really rate.
Just do your best.
Just say whatever you
compare
wanna say.
compare it to something in like a real world environment.
It reminds me of Yosemite.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a
Nice
very
camping
interesting
trip.
line. I like
Sitting
that.
by the campfire. It's a little bit cold out, right? And it kind of warms your insides. It's very nice.
Ooh.
Very smooth.
Nice.
That was perfect.
Very good.
You're gonna make me relapse over here with that. This sounds great.
Smoky Yosemite. Yeah.
You might have a future in the reviews.
Yeah, that wasn't bad. I like that. I appreciate the
Sorry for
review.
interrupting your story, but that was fantastic.
Taste my single barrel version. You go crazy on that
Really?
one. Yeah.
The slogan on the back is great, by the way, too.
Thank you. Yeah, the admonition, all that's there. It's all. We won 3 gold medals just for the design of the bottle.
I also had, so you know how you said you wanted that pro debut
Kentucky.
fight?
Nice.
Why don't you do it with your brother? That could be your pro fight.
No, I'm
against your brother.
I'm done.
So, Bruce,
Getting back to the other.
imagine you two had met when you were younger. You come into this guy's life and you guys just take off. You guys would have been like the Paul brothers, but bigger, you know?
Well, I mean, if we had the internet and the social media that's today, I mean, we've done wonderful. Okay? I could imagine what we would have done if I had everything at my disposal.
I wish you would have answered the question 25,000 a word. I still you tiptoed around it. You
Hey,
know?
perception is reality. Let them think what they want. But
Yeah.
anyway, getting back to the other, I basically just said, Michael, I'm going to make this happen. And I sold my 2 companies. I quit with the money I had in the bank, and I just started shaking hands, taking names, traveling the country, going to trade shows, toy shows, business shows, cold calling every football team there is to get them on the field, whatever it took to build the business. And it was one thing that really propelled us. You ever hear of a CD called Jock Jam?
Of course.
That came out like in 96 or 97.
There was like, what, 500 of them? It was like every year they would put one out, right?
Yeah, well, there's 2. There was 2.
Oh, that's it?
That was.
I thought it was like remember those like compilation albums back in the day when they would put them out for like kids and stuff like that?
Kids
There was
Bop
one-
or something?
Exactly.
Like-
and there was one called Jock Jams that was what, like arena songs.
It was all the
right?
arena songs
Yeah.
that people would take, because when you have a song, you make it part of BMI and ASCAP, and then every arena can play it, DJ can play whatever.
Right.
One of the smartest things I ever did is I didn't make his thing. He just went, ladies and gentlemen, blah, 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 let's get ready to rumble. And then I went into that 2 Unlimited, dun, 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 dun. But the first cut was him saying the rumble. Now, if I did that under BMI and ASCAP, then it could have been a Where's the Beef? It could have had an Andy Warhol 15 minutes and disappeared. So we made it a copyright. And that way, if you took it off that album and played it, as everybody did, which caused me to have to contact them to say, no, you need to pay us.
Ooh.
We'll give you a license. This is the way this works, because it's not BMI. It's a trademark. It's a copywritten trademark. That album helped propel him even further. Not that he never would have gotten there, which gave me all the fuel and fodder to continue to do what I did. And, which led into one of the top-selling video games, Ready to Rumble Boxing, which was a huge game back in '99 and 2000.
I heard you almost
I thought it
grossed,
was
you grossed about
WWE.
You grossed about 100 million in sales overnight,
We
right?
grossed over, between ventures, retail sales, everything, I don't know the exact figure, but it's over 400 million in retail sales.